Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. I'm sitting back here in my den right now. It's the closest place to the heater, and it's 40 degrees outside, and it's a very cold day. But I've got some things to tell you, and I'm just sitting here in the den thinking about things that I thought was funny growing up in life that I wanted to share with you. Let me know if you like it. But when I was growing up, when I turned 16, my parents gave me a car, 1955 Ford. They had it restored completely, a beautiful car, so I enjoyed it and wish I hadn't never got rid of it. And I kept it till I was about 50-year-old probably. A pecan tree limb had fell on the fender and bent it, and I couldn't find another fender. I searched everywhere. But anyway, what I'm talking about today is when I was 16, I stayed during the summer with my grandmother and my granddaddy, and I enjoyed it and I loved it. They lived out in the country, and we lived in a suburb closer to town and all, but I lived out there and worked. I worked with the Texaco gas station guy, and I done told y'all about that, but during my school years I met a friend, and we're going to call him Billy, and the funniest thing that happened whenever I went down there the first time and got my driver's license, and I passed the test and got them, and I was 16 and actually took my mother's car, which was a 1969 Ford or 70 model Ford LTD. I forget which it was. It was brand new though, and it drove like a dream. Power steering, power brakes, you name it. Okay, so this friend of mine that I'd met in school, and we hung out together a lot. It was so funny. Whenever he was a few months younger than me, he turned 16 and wanted to get his license. Well, you know, as I told you, I worked with my daddy at a garage, so I had fixed up an old 1950 model Chevrolet truck with a 6-cylinder motor in it, and it was an old black truck and had rust all over, but I enjoyed driving that old truck. Matter of fact, we actually had two of them. And so I told him, I said, well, let me take you out to our farm and you can drive that truck around and I'll see if you can pass the driver's test, because I helped him with the written part and he done good on that. But it was a 3-speed on the column, and he hadn't ever drove a clutch. Well, he hadn't ever drove nothing, and we worked on that about 3 months, and it was perfect. He could back it up and park it. Didn't have power steering or nothing like that. And so anyway, here's the thing. The day before, we took him down there to the state patrol station, and there was this one state trooper, and I personally knowed him. He was meaner than a rattlesnake and wouldn't give an inch. I mean, I seen a man come in there the day I got my driver's license, and if it was $10 and a nickel or $10.02, and he only had $10, he told that man, no, I'm not going to loan you the 2 cents, you're going to have to go back and get it. And the man went out of his truck and looked for it, and he come back in and said, sir, I can't find 2 cents. Well, I reached in my pocket and gave the state trooper 2 cents. I said, here, I pay for the 2 cents on his license. And the trooper accepted, but he looked at me right square in the face and told me, he said, he told that man, an old black man, he said, you need to write down your address and let that black guy mail you the 2 cents that he borrowed from you. I said, no, I don't. I'm giving him that money. And I said, I'm giving it to him out of the kindness of my heart. I said, I hope somebody would give me 2 cents one day. And they did. But anyway, to go back to the story of Billy, the truck was a 1950 Chevrolet truck, and the day before we went to get the license, the motor mount on the right side broke. Well, That means if you mash the gas too much, the motor would twist inside the frame, and when it twisted, it'd pull the throttle back, and the truck would jump. So I told Billy, I said, look, the motor mount broke yesterday or the day before. I said, you got to go easy on the gas to get this. I said, if you mash it too hard and let out on that clutch too fast, that motor's going to twist, and it's going to pull the throttle back and make the truck take off. And he said, okay, I got this. Well, he went in, and this State Patrol, he wasn't bigger than a pill box, a little old skinny guy, and also the truck had a battery on the passenger side that the floor had rotted out. So like I said, I own the garage, so I took the battery out, and I made a battery box up under the hood and put the battery up there, and down there in the floor where that big old hole was, I never had nobody riding, and whoever rode with me, I'd tell them put your feet up high on the floorboard because there's a hole in the floor. And well, that day I was worried about the State Patrol and the hole, so I got a piece of carpet that, you know, these throw mats that my grandma had on the porch, and I put it right there over that hole covered up so he couldn't see it, and I figured that'd be fine. Well, anyway, Billy passed his driver's license test, and Billy boy, he was all keyed up and excited. Anyway, we went out there and we got in the truck, and he passed his written test, and he went to backing out of the truck. Well, backing out wasn't no problem, because when you're backing out, the motor's going to twist that way. So it didn't twist because the motor mount wasn't broke. He backed out of the parking lot, and that was during his driving test. And it was a little ways from the State Patrol office to the stop sign that you had to turn onto the street to go around, and then you had to parallel park and all that stuff. Well, Billy backed out, and an old trooper that was thin as a pill bottle, I'm not lying, and hateful old man, and but I knowed him, and I actually got to be friends with him later in life, but he still was a hateful old man, but that's the way some people are. I think the badge went to his head, but he wasn't a state patrol. He was just a driver's license examination officer for the Georgia State Patrol. But the funny thing is, Billy went to go forward. He pulled it up there, and you pull that shifter up and put it down in low. You know the shift pattern. One, then down, low, and because reverse was from one up, so it was one, down, two, and three. And he started off, and it was fine. And he went in first gear. Well, when he hit second gear, he popped that clutch, and that motor twisted like that, and that gas pedal throttle slammed back. When the motor twisted, it was like you stomped it to the floor. Well, that truck started jumping, looked like a kangaroo in the parking lot. It was even making sounds with the tires, irk, irk, irk. Well, the State Patrol was up in there going like this, and by golly, his feet got in that hole somehow, and he fell through the floorboard. Yeah, fell through there, and he was hanging on by his elbows, and Billy was still jumping, and the State Patrol's feet was dragging behind him, and the State Patrol was hollering, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" And Billy got excited and turned to the right. There was a stop sign coming out of the State Patrol, and he run over the stop sign, and then the truck choked down right there. Well, I run out there immediately, opened the passenger door where the State Patrol guy was hanging out, and I could see his feet down there under the truck. But I helped him get back up, and Billy says, "Do you want me to crank up and start over?" Ooh, that was the wrong thing to say. That State Patrol said, "No, help me get out of here." And when we got him out, he looked at us, both of us. He said, "I'm going to tell y'all one thing," and he used some ugly words that I ain't going to say. But he told us, if y'all ever come back in this post, this state patrol office, he said, I promise you, I'm going to call every trooper we got, and he said, we're going to write you every ticket we can write. And he said, Billy looked at him and said, did I pass my test? Well, he said, heck no, you ain't passed nothing. He said, I don't want to ever see you two again in my life, and I better not see this truck on the highway. If I do, I'm calling in and reporting it, and we're going to have it towed, impounded, and smashed. He said, you dang near kill me, people. He said, you boys ain't got a lick of sense. And we didn't feel too good about that. Well, after that, Billy waited a whole year. A whole year. And I took him back up there. And this time I took him in a nice car that my mother had. And we walked in there, and that same state patrol was sitting behind that counter. And Billy said, I'm here to apply for my driver's license. And he looked up and he said, I remember y'all. He said, the best thing y'all can do is get out of here right now. I don't want to never see you again. We left. We had to go way down to the next county, about 40 miles, to get his driver's license. And that's a true story that just happened during one of the things when I remember growing up, and I wanted to share that with y'all. So y'all let me know what you think, and did y'all have an experience with a friend like that? Cause there's many, many more. And Billy lived with his grandma and granddad, and they was old-fashioned. And his grandma was bow-legged, and like that. And I asked him what happened to her, and she wasn't but about 4 foot tall, little short lady, feisty. And he said when they was young, they had drive the T-model truck car and hit a pecan tree running as fast as it would go, and she slid down the hood and it broke her legs and made her bow-legged, shaped of the hood. So that's something I never understood. But growing up with my granddad and grandma was some of the best years of my life. I never will forget them. They was good people. They was hard workers. But they'd make homemade biscuits every morning. I mean every morning. And she did that every day till she died. When she was, after my granddaddy died, she made homemade biscuits for a dog and her every morning. And I had a bird dog, and I let her keep it. That bird dog was so fat, he couldn't hunt no more. And my grandma fattened him up just that much. I mean, he was huge. He ate hot buttered biscuits and syrup and pancakes and eggs and bacon every morning. Well, you know, some people ain't got the life of a dog. But I just want to share that story with you. And I got a lot of stories I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to share some stories about working at a hardware store and stuff like that that is going to just key you on what happened in life during the times I drove up. I drove up in the late 60s and early 70s. I'm 71 now. I was born in 1954. But I think them were the best memories of my life, and I remember going with them to the A&P grocery store. Great times, and Billy, and riding off with Billy and his grandma and grandpa, and they was old-fashioner than my grandma and grandpa. They was wanting us to bring the mule and wagons back. They thought cars was too fast, everything was moving too fast. And that's true today. Things are moving too fast. So slow down and enjoy life, folks.